Losam, Nana, Losam, 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 you don't know.
No, I didn't say that was somebody that time.
Wow. That's it.
For me. Mm-hmm. Are you ready?
Unless we give the pages, we have some new people that won't know the page. So page 2.
Kada nada chive matule, sive tole
To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one God beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, to God, the Lord of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, the supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you, who are wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the vast Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The sword of your heavenly completion, and found you having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one God, the thusness I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realm, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to that Dharma which pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also feel the path of liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, are devoted to the moral precepts, you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits, sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the whole false, and be delivered from some servants, through the ways of aging, sickness, and death.
Baba Gunjo Lada, the Lotige Lagi, Toba, Tiji, Ma, Jode, Yebuga, Jago, Bumbo, Lagi, Lonji, Gibu, Chamboda, Chanju, Sembe, Gibu, Chamboda, Pala, Jidu, Jude, Di, Jomde, Samona, Jijawe, Chiginara, Tingi, Zela, Nyumura, Shugoya, Di, Jago, Semba, Semba, Chambo, Anju Shera Di Baro De Shemba Samo Cheba Nila Namara Tashin Kumbo Ngabode Dalaya Rajin Gi Tomba Nambara Tao Tene Sati Gi Sedan Demba Sheri Anju Semba Semba Chembo Aba Chele Anju La Digi Chemeso Ziji Pu Kala Shera Gi Baro De Samo Cheba Cheba Deba De Shedara Labara Cha Digi Chemeso Anju Semba Semba Chembo Baba Chele Se Anju Ji Sedan Demba Shari Dadi Bula Digi Chemeso Shari Pu Riji Pu Mo Kala Shera Gi Baro De Shemba Samo Cheba Cheba Deba Dida Namba Dawa Chade Bumbo Ngabo De Dalaya Rashingi Namba Yanda Bara Jesu Tao Udomba Udomba Nisu Zo Ule Tomba Ni Shemai Tomba Nile Jan Suji Mai No Dejen Du Tora Deji Deji Nambara Sheba Nandamba Shari Bo Dela Tuba Tomba Ni Tenye Meba Majeba Magaba Jima Meba Jima Danja Chiwa Meba Kawa Meba Shari Bo Dela Wena Tomba Nila Sume Suwa Me Dushi Me Dushi Nambara Sheba Me Mime Na Name Cheme Lume Ime Sume Name Cheme Bome Cheme Do Viji Kame Bani Yige Kame Yige Nambara Shebe Kanji Bado Yame Do Mariba Sebane Kashi Me Kashi Sebe Bado Yame Do Tunge Wada Gunjo Wada
Taba mede chinche lole shindu dene nyangele tara chindu tuzundu nambar shubhe sanje danji kanshera ge baro de jambo la tene la nara me pa yanda par sobe judu mombara zobar sain jesu de da dana shera je baro du chimbe ma reba chimbe ma lana mebe ma me jamba da jambe ma Tonga danshera tu shivar chimbe ma Vijubena Deva Shiva Chade Shera Je Parudu Shimbe Nam Dayata Gade Gade Para Gade Para Sam Gade Buddhi Shari Bo Jandu Samba Samba Shembu Deda Shera Je Parudu Shimba Samola Labara Chau Dene Jamdende Tengen Se Dene Shense Janju Samba Samba Shembo Baba Chire Se Wanju La Leso Jawa Shin Leso Leso Riji Bu Tete Shino Tete Shinde Jitara Chuge Temba Tera Je Parudu Chimba Samba La Chebara Ishin Sheba Nagya Jesu Yirang Chomden Degi Degi Jega Tena Dema Shari Dante Buddha Chanju Sempa Sempa Shempo Baba Chele De Wanchu Da Demche Da Dembe Koro De La Da Ida Ida Jisa Jebe Jide Yirang De Chomden Deji Sumba Ngomba Page 11. Thus I have heard, once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgriha, and vultures speak together with a great assembly of monks and Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was totally absorbed in the concentration that examines all phenomena of profound illumination. And at the same time, the Navalabhalakadeshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, was engaged in the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, analyzing the five aggregates by nature and things. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, how should those of good family learn to reach the crisis from gone beyond? Thus he spoke in the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, replied to the Venerable Shariputra, saying, O Shariputra, whatever sin that tells you of the family wishes to follow the divine practice of the wisdom gone beyond, to look at it like this, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, karmic formation, and consciousness are all empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty without characteristic. They are unborn and unseen. They are neither impure nor free from impurity. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, and emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no karma formation, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no tongue, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no spheres of the eyes up to no spheres of the mind. There are none of these all the way up to the sphere of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, nor is there destruction of ignorance. There are none of these all the way up to there is no old age in death, nor is there destruction of old age and death. Thus there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, all Bodhisattvas hold to the wisdom gone beyond, and because there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond falsity, they reach beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times are relying on the wisdom gone beyond, fully and clearly awakened to unsurpassed, most perfect and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the wisdom gone beyond, the mantra of great insight, the unequaled and unsurpassed mantra, the mantra above all suffering, known as the truth, where there is no deception. The mantra of the wisdom gone beyond is proclaimed. O Shariputra, this is our Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, should learn the profound wisdom gone beyond. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and praised the noble Avalokiteshvara. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva saying, very good, O son of good family. It is exactly like that. The profound wisdom gone beyond should be practiced exactly as you have said, and then the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shantideva, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the whole the world with its gods, men, anti-gods, and spirits, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. So ends the noble discourse on the essence of the wisdom gone beyond.
다 드리는 사포고 아니 다 진짜지 진주를 다 주그 줘봐 아니 달라 줘봐스 하고 치기 다니 시마 대시 자원을
And now it is Thursday, and we resume the way of the Bodhisattva. The way of the Bodhisattva, the title itself conveys two approaches. They are the way of the Bodhisattva, two topics, the Bodhisattva and their way.
야다 진주 전마다 나눠서 가르스나 강가로 볼다 탐지다 샘지 미니 집에다 샘지 간지 뭐 있나 양 아니 나눠서다 대화 승이지 되게 여바다 동해디 되게 매바디 춘이 라신 차대요 그래서
Every last sentient being, from the least to the greatest, is characterized by their desire for contentment and wish to avoid pain. This is universal of all.
딱 대화 우리에게 톱당 여바대 가만 직받치장 동해세에게 톱당 수강 직받치장 여러분도 개발 여바대 수강 개발 얘기들이 요 말해서
It is shared among all the equal right to contentment and the equal right to alleviate all pain.
근데 이래서 뭐다 대화 두당 수수 온보다 빠는 대화 두배래 동해세양 직받았다 대화 두는 동해라 신경 세도 그래 재산 대화대 수수 온보다 뛰는 대화 가도 전부 두고 여바 나시 동해야 되나시 세도 그래서
But individual are the methods for achieving that contentment, and individual and unique are the means for dispelling that pain. They are suited to each individual, the means for achieving contentment and the means for dispelling discontents.
딱 맞아. 선지에게 나는 초도 주고 강의 성질로 강의 배 공부이다 나는 번역의 선지에 들을 때다 미 조미 다 조미 이래서 뭐다 개발도 파고 루이 개발지 샘 개발지 어떻게지 요래서
Now we among sentient beings are exceptional. We are the bipeds. We go on two legs and we are distinct from the other sentient beings, distinct and exceptional for our biological endowments, our physical body, and the native intelligence of that human body.
이 밀let 이야기 저어디 가서 시리바 취업도 넘버 제바 시럽승이 따딩어 좀 밀려요 신발을 요 말해서 그거 신발 술라가 요 말해서
Unique to human beings is the native endowment of discriminating wisdom, capable of distinguishing between phenomena. This sets the human being, that is their native intelligence, sets them apart from all other sentient beings. None have this in common with the human being.
이제 이제 잡았다 좀 밀려 아니 취업도 남지 시럽 되기 아니 다음 선지 신달에 하고 가르치 두고 그랬어 가르치고 그랬어 어떻게 그래서
With this exceptional native intelligence of the human being that sets it apart from other sentient beings, what more are they capable of achieving that other sentient beings are not?
근데 이제 좀 미때는 되게 맞을 취업도 남지 시럽 되기 내가 가르치기로 했으나 세딜라 레사네 세딜라 제부뇨 지투게 뉴바디 밀려요래서
대원용화.
일단
강릉화.
제부
알아, 제부.
일단 너도 동인이가 요와 이제서만 세딜라 레사 세딜라 대원용에 대한 밀리테는 그래 세딜라 디버사 세딜라 동인용에 대한 미테는 요래서
the native intelligence of the human being allows them to accumulate their karmas in this life and then initiate the experiencing of those same karmas in this very same life. The accumulation of negative karmas and their painful results, the accumulation of positive karmas and their satisfactory results.
Oh, yeah, this is just about the never in the Jum Dedi, choose on the church you call to Dujedilla, church Dujedilla, and Miller, choose on the Jimmy meet and a song Goya, Junzendi, church, Yamber, then some of the ten, Rangit Lake, Yawasa, Lake Yawati, Jibu, and it's a villa. Young 2 years, you were in that and meet and church, so the media and song Goya.
And for this very reason, the Bhagavan intentionally taught to human beings with their unique basis upon their listening, they are able to intentionally go out and accumulate positive karmas and then experience the result of those positive karmas in the very same life. For this reason, the Buddha Bhagavan taught to those of exceptional basis, the human beings.
Oh, 단다다 밀루고 나네 최초제상 밀루시기 톱이어서 제가 대인도 밀루고 나네 제 제발도 밥에 밀루신다 그래서
아니 다주주예
대저주요.
Among human beings, set apart among human beings are those with the precious human rebirth with its leisures and endowments. Even among human beings, such individuals with the leisures and endowments are exceptional.
Oh, yeah, that was the Ludin Tikini. That was the old Druguyor, they were to be lying, they were to be Rimba Mango, you and Nani, that short of Cuba. And it was in which take it Nani, and that's how you send your Rimba. What they did love you by do, that they were to be a non top short of Cuba, and it done around your essence.
Now, those with exceptional basis, the precious human rebirth of leisures and endowments would utilize it to engage in that very best method that is the Mahayana. And even within the Mahayana, the exceptional means that is the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment. The great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment and the Bodhicharya Avatar, the way of the Bodhisattva, which present the sublime methods for the achievement of satisfaction and contentment in this life to these stages of the path.
Oh, they do some of them, they were to done that touch of the Juba. And it so Karis, Mingman, Lame Karis, not Chanju with same knee. Chanju Koeg, Zawa Manado, Dungaji, Zawa Joyage, Dame to be sheriff singing the Jujuna Shigioris, and in another Kandar Ranching Kandar Tamji can be Goma Tobagi, Pardu Juba, Ranching Zingilo, Tiang, and it's Gunzo Chanju Simbi, on but Jake words, the Vinigabi. Dungaji, Zawa Danzinda, Ranching Zini, Tinila, Kapde Janige. 아니 다 자주고 선 군도 자주고 선다 전다 자주고 선 어디니가 먼저 퇴선 제냐네 지금 여가 인사 아니 먼저 탑쳐도 좀 말해서 이제 대해서.
So the sublime method is described as the sublime method, for it is the method for confronting the causes for cyclic existence and its suffering, namely ignorance, the grasping at the ostensible but irreal self, and that which prevents omniscient awareness, that is biased self-interest. The antidote to the two, that which confronts and eliminates the two, are the wisdom realizing the absence of the irreal self, and the wisdom that abandons pathological self-interest, biased self-interest. The wisdom realizing these two, that is the development of the two forms of bodhicitta, conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta, are presented as the methods that are the sublime methods of the Mahayana.
Oh, 근데 이래서마다 달랭 안조 밀루 되게 키네. 아니 다 안조 제투비아 가리요래 가리치고 그래. 다디 저 디니 나라
Taking up this sublime human body and employing the methods available to it, what would one do, and why must one do just that? These two questions orient us as we address the text. And so it is the Kadamba masters, the Kadamba adepts of old have a proverb. I have written it here, that the supreme form of contentment is heavenly bliss, and the most excruciating pain is the pain of the lower realms. And here is the moment, the crucial moment, where the choice is before you, to ensure your contentment or to assure your pain. Heavenly bliss is that contentment known in the heavenly realms and to human beings. And the pain of the hell realms is that excruciating agony of the hell beings and of the preta and of the animals. There is the greatest form of satisfaction in heavenly bliss and the most horrendous sort of agony for hell beings. Now we find ourselves at the moment where we are presented with the choice, whether we ensure our contentment in the future or assure the pain of the hell realms. And so it is before us then a choice, and the Kadamba masters present it to us in a proverb you have now before you, a choice, whether to ensure contentment or to assure yourselves of great pain. Now, the present moment is a moment of great opportunity. It's a moment of opportunity when the supports for practice are present to us. It allows us to ensure our greater fortunes to come, presented with a choice here. We have in our discussions of the Buddha Dharma the means for ensuring our contentment, and so our discussion of the Dharma is to that end. Used in this way, then the human body is not squandered. The human body is put to its use and made meaningful. So that then is the purpose, the reason for the Dharma practice. But then we turn our attention to what is it just that interferes with the practice. And so the relevance of where we are in the text.
Oh yeah, that he do got ma zo mo zhe shi zhe de la. Ta ma ran zo la ran wa me ba. Ma zo la be sem na la de ba de yang ru ma tu ya. Du nge yang mu tu ne ne ba chi ni be ran wa me ba chi ye de su re. Ta di mo zhe che ge tan da la. Ani ka san du da mo me na la. Ci di ba. Xie dan se so zha nam ji. Gang la la so yu mi la. Ba zang mi ya ji shi tar. C'est bien ça. Pas ça, mais c'est ça. On est kita change che, c'est tout. C'est pas mal.
Devo scinda rautukes,
Tu m'as dit gagner.
Digale, quando che ci kawar narme ne görne.
Odi wal.
Detsan kona nyong görne.
Odi tadu mad.
Quando dende dawa ne görne.
Ota di mad tadu gar ci di ma mo do. Te tu ngi di ma mo ba ci di. Porque di sabji di do ni mo gu ram ma ba ci su sam shi se do. Ram ma ba che ba sa jin de.
Roman schön beaucoup.
Tu no tal. Ram ma ba che ba. Chik.
Chik ale chik ni. Dagi simla neşinde.
Di gama.
Rama mevar cheba. Shedan seso rana ni.
Odi ka ngi di chang ba.
Lasa.
Ram ma ba di. Ram ma ba che ba sa sabji.
Ale.
아니 세상 세서 다른 게 강라라서 유명다 빠던 저 같은 게 나게 해지 제에서도 그런 기가 너무 많습니다.
Then to introduce to introduce what it is that causes us to live unfree, that forces us into bondage perennially under the influence of mental afflictions. The 28th verse on page 57. Anger, lust, these enemies of mine are limbless and devoid of faculties. They have no bravery, no cleverness. How then have they reduced me to such slavery?
Oh yeah, that thing 간다. 난 라마에 봐서 니묵식이 알아서 녀모 버싱이 되겠다. 교육 가르쳐래. 거기 간데 니묵이 아니 가서 내가 간데 제기 여봐. This
is presenting to us the pitfalls and drawbacks of the mental afflictions. How is it that we are enslaved to them? And in just what sorts of ways do they cause us harm to present to us these pitfalls to mental afflictions, this verse?
All that the was jarred 6 Junju Koran Sigi Tango Shedan Sado, Shedan Sexo, Danam Shedan, Sigba, Shedan Dan, Dusha, and Chad Mingden. Any that shake of your resume.
And among the mental afflictions, anger is named and lust is named, and then they are called enemies that they are. Anger, lust, these enemies of mine.
Oh yeah, and they do the Matacol Daos and all to you. Never Chineta, Daos Lagroata, Chiting, Chivina, Suzula, never Chineta, Suzula, Suzu Magawa, Suzula, Delisi, Napola, Daos Lagroa, or Tenashing, and you move digi, you move, and it does out a shed on the Timono Sobatella, and Manzolata, Mutu never chigi by that, until a Daos being the Pejutangi or response.
Now, ordinarily, we call any person who harms us an enemy, any person we dislike an enemy, and now anger and lust and the mental afflictions are named our enemies because they continually harm us. And so anger, lust, ignorance, and the rest of the mental afflictions are known to be enemies.
Oh yeah, that Shedan Dizula, Tanzula. Consola, no Chiagani, Penamato, big Dado Zimina, Colayata, Kangla, Kangbata, La Walla Soba, and it's a Pazan Suzuma. 강 배나 가지고 뇌제 주 용을 파도고 제거로 파도 제약이 강바대한 여자다 제단술을 요 말했어. 아니 지금 가지고 쉬야다 파대 야 샤야다 파태야다 줄내야게 라보고를 비한 여자다 제단술을 요 말했어. 어디지 순간.
Now, anger and lust and ignorance, mental afflictions, differently than ordinary enemies who must approach us, and they approach us on by legs, on their feet, and they retreat from us, and then they use their arms to tangle with us and then retreat from us. They are like warriors, the human beings who are enemies of ours, but anger, lust, and the mental afflictions have none of these. No hands, no legs.
야, 되게 생각 강라 요 말이지 요 말세리 가지고 유모돼서 강가 아니 수제된 이제 많이 받지 시기 요래서 뭐지.
It says here then that anger, lust, ignorance, and the mental afflictions have none of these, no arms, no legs. They have no form.
야, 근데 지금 수바데 빠스에서 뭐 배야 하장이 배또 전부 tumbu pe siu de yoba pasa zangba su zoma kada da jiko shuba chen mi ga zo ko da ni de yoro kashi keba de yan ko lo yo mares.
They have no bravery. Bravery being courage and strength. A warrior's bearing. They have none of that. No cleverness. Cleverness is wiles. Cleverness is the ability to deceive through subterfuge. They have none of this.
야, 아는 그 가지고 내가 간데시 그래. 사치 어디 가버런. 여자다 제가 때문에 주고 간데시 그래서나 아주 딱 고조가 즉시바 되게 대다 이다 진시 제스 유모 먼저 탐지 유모들이 본들 땐 뭐만에 다다 봐도 배 전혀 나시지 배 두부지 tum주다 배 강에 짱짱제 단단한 내 동해를 맞춰봐서 뭐만아야 동해 기업을 쳐봐. 근데 이제 딱 그거 먼저 안에 가데스 있는 거 찍으래스. 다 저어들이 다 되게 내한테라네. 다 먼저 빼들 다 빼나 먼저 빼나 지나도 공부도 즉 독자지 여봐이나 먼저 되게 요구 가서 있는 되게 될래야. 라원 되게 말해. 그러니까 태어나시 요구 누구 찍으러 어디나시 여자다 제가 때문에 저기 아주가 아니 파게다 간다. 진다 독자 진다 삼번 년바 지여봐이나 그 요거들 기부 가도 시작이 말아 어디나시 유모들 쪽에 맞으러 가도 있는 배 동에 맛있게 받쳐면도 대화제야 고급적이야 말해서.
Without any of these, how is it then that they inflict the harm that they do and overpower us as they do? The fourth line answers to this. They keep us enslaved. How? Continuing to harm us. Just how? Just as the illustration is used, a slaver will enslave others. If they are malicious, if the owner is malicious, then whoever is their chattel then will never be allowed any moment's respite, never allowed any pleasure, always harmed, always injured. And so it is, the fourth line answers to this. How then have they reduced me to such slavery? It is that we are owned by mental afflictions and have no freedom from them.
야, 다 근데 이래서 다 만족 유모들 저거 다 이미지 마신 유모들 뭐신 거라 유모들 뭐 마시나? 아니 유모들이 이미지 신경 말해. 유모들이 이미지 마신 바이나? 아니 유모들이 방들 삼바디 계획 말해. 제가 유모를 교연도 통으로 통화지도 하고 유모들 뭐신 거 거래 손으로.
This points out the awful drawbacks of mental afflictions. Mental afflictions with their drawbacks, their pitfalls, must be identified so that they may be repulsed, so that there may be a desire growing in the mind to finally abandon them. So then the picture of the mental afflictions as the slaver in such terms.
야, 근데 이래서 다 만족 동해에서 너무 제부 동해 규티바스. 디버디 여바이나 아니 제부 동에 용아 임바 거 주다 제부 차살 해서
양식성.
유 디버제 제부 동에 아서 디버디 여바이나 제부 동에 용아 임바도 거 예살 그 준제를 해서
Where there is negative karma, non-virtue, then the consequence, suffering, is ensured. They are in a causal relationship, the non-virtue consequence being suffering.
예. 이제 이들마다 제부 동에디 아니 동에 되고요 말와 있는 동에 용고요. 아니 간데스 총알에서 좋아되지. 이들마다 동에 수 중주발에서는 레다 영문이 원기 동에 라면하고 연구를 말이지.
Pain and suffering is unwanted, but pain and suffering is what's experienced. Why is it so? Where there are non-virtues accumulated, then necessarily their consequence is pain, and so the causal relationship.
이게 다 레드다 레디 주체 레디 주체 유모디 현지지 괜찮아요. 제가 레드 유모니 좀나 아니 동에 제 임발 레드 유모니 냠도 마도나 아니 동에 제 두고 말해서
Karma and kleshas cause suffering. Karma is the substantial cause for suffering. The klesha, mental afflictions, are the conditions for that suffering. Where karma and klesha are present together, then of course, naturally, there is pain. But where they are decoupled, there will be no pain.
that did not Judy led candy, new mode chance on Chetan, new mode pa Pangshana, new mode pa Meva Sweshana, any lady to get to your maresons.
Now, when karmas are the cause and klesha are the conditions, if the conditions are eliminated, then that substantial cause, nevertheless, will never cause its result, and there will be no pain of those negative karmas.
Petty values, no? Land that sabens. Also, the Singata Sunday, and the Godamna to call the Tudor Martina, and Sunday, New Maras. Mark on the Singana top to the new look level, and when you wish it was in a she, later. Choose the new and you want to Chaviores. Then soon the children lose the tail, you wiki and Martina, and then you wiki Maro in the Pechariores.
To illustrate this, the metaphor of the seed is given. A seed without water, nutrients, and heat will not germinate. The seed is karma. But when the seed is planted in a fertile field where there is water and there are nutrients and there is heat, those being the seed's conditions for growth, likened to the klesha, then there will be germination. So where there is the conditions in the klesha for the karmas, then the karmas will result in their pain.
That's the new mood to table. 아니 내기 이게 딱 보다 뉴모드 체험도 뉴모드 쓰다네 아니 레드리 뉴구께와 서변들이 뉴구께와 나시 레드리 레 디버데스나 아니 제부 동의께와 지기를 해서
And so where karmas meet with conditions in their klesha, then the meeting germinates, and if the karma is negative karma, a non-virtue, then that fruits as pain.
that 동의께와 맞아요. 다 동의배 친구, 동의 빠도 매바 들려서 저와 지기를 해서
Not mere pain, but if the karma is significant, then excruciating pain.
that 저와 제가 subject이 싸워도 디 왔어. 나기 선만 내셔도 가고다는 내제냐. 해나면 또 저번에 내미서 봐. 내면 봐.
then one will meet with innumerable suffering. Verse 29, they dwell within my mind, and at their pleasure injure me, and this I suffer meekly, all this I suffer meekly, unresenting, thus my abject patience, all displaced.
Oh yeah, that dog is some that nation to the dog is some to send it. Nation to Karine Basana, you mo, the Jashetan Kondroma, Yem Marita, I say you more than you more or ticket, and the same thing also you want to desert, never chat your response.
They dwell within my mind, each one of us, ourselves, our minds, they dwell within my mind, they being the mental afflictions. Where the mental afflictions reside is the mind itself. It is like their accommodations, and they are many, they are root afflictions and secondary afflictions. These are they.
Oh yeah, nation does. And then Gagul Dala Neche Bas, Gagur Dala Gagurs Bizamba, the Kogi Deva Kang Benamazo, Susula Kambena, Chick Paget, Susul never changed his Yovena, Kogi Kambana Yone, the Kod Deva Kang Parangi, Mila never Jago, never Jongo, Jom Kiko, Parangi Karin, they will send the Tamana Chevajarwa, or did a Gagur Chebas, Gagur Tone, and Mazula Neche Basra, or Neche Basile. 재산다 아주 가르쳐서 세미나를 유무 대다기 아니 수술 기내 라완키네 매바 그런저로 가리 배 지구구유가 차방 제는 수술을 넣어지기 어려서
They dwell within my mind, and at their pleasure injure me. At their pleasure injure me. That means for us, though it's no intention of ours, under their sway, just as an invader in our homes can do whatever they will, they do whatever is their whim, if it's to hurt us, to abduct us, whatever the case may be, they do it irregardless of our desires. And so it is in the mind, the mental afflictions allow us no freedom, and so the line, and at their pleasure injure me.
Oh yeah, 재산다 너가 진이게 고라기 배 간다를 여바 마조바도 너바 제주바들이제 제 발레마데니 샤샤바이나 아니 거기 너바 세메바 지기로와 대난시 아니 말아도 셈나로 유모도들로 하춘에 갑대준에 맞아바체 아니 그랑도 가리 제와도 제주바이나 아니 만족이 배 동에 빠도 매바 연구해야 되기 차기를 해서
All this I suffer meekly, unresenting. If one allows an invader, if one lets them be, concedes all to them, relinquishes all to them, then that harm that they will inflict upon one will be continuous, though it will have no end, because one has not confronted the invader and one has already ceded the ground to the invader.
somebody 아니 this is Hello, metro server ni stella pro majiba metro was server chebaina and server chebadi ten maybe server is name my be server is just this server gomadi and name my be server is all these
Thus my abject patience, all displaced, abject in the sense of being pointless. That is, this sort of patience is not constructive, and this abject patience is all misplaced.
Oh yeah, that course seven my be server so penamazo to you want to jigden yondala ananzo that susu magawa susu to magawa chini ani san never chini yena or just level the color server gomgoji nyameng on the server gomeji shegi yowas color server gomba ina ani manzo nyamle ta rangi le 타바다 디과 타바다 동에 타바겠다 냠내기 내 시기 여러 왔어 이나양 단단하고 유목 내 되더라 서버 고바이나 아니 냠내디 영화 여러서는 이 영화 여말 비밀 되고 말해서
Patience misplaced, pointless patience. This would be different from the patience that is advised for us to practice toward our adversaries in the ordinary sense, those who dislike us apparently and harm us. We are encouraged to be patient with such adversaries as a practice that purifies us of our negative karmas. This is the counsel, the advice, isn't it? However, that is patience rightly placed and practiced, but patience towards mental afflictions is misplaced. The patience of non-retaliation, that patience toward the adversary with their limbs, who use those limbs to harm us, toward such adversaries, patience is recommended. And patience of non-retaliation toward those adversaries is the practice of patience in fact. But patience for mental afflictions is not the practice of patience. It is a different matter altogether. Ordinarily, that adversary, that harm doer, who's harmed us, who's injured us, there's a measure of the harm done to us. There's no measuring the harm done to us by mental affliction. And ordinarily too, no matter how vicious the violence toward us, it may be measured in the duration, in its kind. It may be beatings, at its worst it may be murder, but there's nothing worse than that, murder. The injury to us by klesha, mental afflictions, is immeasurable. It began in beginningless time and has continued forcing us into the experience of agony after agony continuously, where there hasn't been an antidote applied to the klesha, the mental affliction. The pain is continuous, it is intense, and it is various, and it is immeasurable. And so this adversary, the mental afflictions, the klesha, are called enemies of mind. Now here, anger is named first. In the Abhidharma, the klesha are described in their sequence of arising, in their order. They begin then with desirous attachment, followed by aversion, followed by the rest, including doubt.
예, 따뜻한데 이래서 뭐 유무 땅도 되자 되는 지당기 지기 되자다니 제자가 되자는데 그 뜻이야 요래서.
Regarding desirous attachment, there is the general description of desirous attachment and particular characteristics of desirous attachment.
예, 따 되자 지기 진입이 가르스나 지당기 되자는 책 간데 시작으로는 그 관계가 있는 셈라도 마시고 제백이 로시는 아니 되자 생긴다 그래서.
Now, generally, desirous attachment is defined as that which perturbs the mind.
예, 그 지기 전에 받았 그 유무 되 다디 지버제 다 수수그 증이로 샤와이나 아니 다 오케이 다 단단한 시야 될다 유무고 나는 시야는 사회 유무 다 알레
뉴몽기 치기 진이 아니 샤인바.
유무 지기
Desirous correction by the interpreter. Not the general definition of desirous attachment. The general definition of mental affliction is that which perturbs the mind.
어떻게 다 유무 수수그 증이 마샤요데 아니 단단하다 다다 알레 지난 시당 한번 망보 요리네 당하도 사회 유무 툭스 모반의 시당 마시 전에 사회 유무 툭스 당가지는 당고 되자 세계 손으로.
Then the particular definitions of mental afflictions begin with the definition of desirous attachment. There are 6 root mental afflictions, and that list begins with desirous attachment, following from the Abhidharma presentation.
예, 다 되자 강 도자스나 가래 되자 강 세나스 컴숨베 제수 차베 동행제 버치베 레젠스 컴숨이라 소수면 더바 컴숨나 제수 차베 동행제 버치제게 되게 넘버 제제나 아니 다 되자스나 그래서
양예치스나?
컴숨나 제수 차바 컴숨나 제수 차베 동행제 레젠스 동행제 버치게 제버 진행이다. 나머지 제버
동양
중에 제버 진행. 제가 아니 되잡았어.
In the Abhidharma, the definition of the mental affliction, desirous attachment, is in the
제수 차가를 컴.
뭐죠? 감수는 제수 잡아라.
제수 차가. 제수 차네. 이거 이게 제가 되게 넘버 제제라. 아니 되잡았어.
That attached to any of the 3 realms which produces pain is the definition in the Abhidharma of the mental affliction, desirous attachment.
야, 다 되게 뭐 거는 다 사제지 배나데 코랑이 봐 미버도 가르쳐 사제지로 사제지 뭐라는 뭐 거는 이도 원 통내 에 전도 녀와 심중 그 친이도 여자 친이도 돼 사제지 뭐라서 이네 아니 데 이도 원 통내 에 전도 녀와 데 지금 심지라 아니 심중 스민다 그래서
심중으로. The mental factor, desirous attachment, is the with contaminated, any contaminated phenomena as object of awareness, the mind that is desirous of achieving just that object is the afflicted mental factor of desirous attachment.
dice, Tadi pedi country, and pedi delicious, real num shubas, on the Tulola num Koganasi. It is to Koetebo, any Koetana by Yungas, but Kandakoda, the Jadi Sut. Real num shutana and Kopachi, Kandi Taka will what in Nashi, you more the Jetana and Pataka Vayuva, what it is better response.
To illustrate desirous attachment is likened to oil in a cloth. The stain of a drop of oil in cloth is not easily removed. After the stain is in the cloth, the oil is difficult to purge. This is the metaphor illustrating desirous attachment.
Oh, yeah, that better the better, that 20 Rangi, the Jadiga Rangi, Mibala, Sheni, and a deal about Cheni, Mibate that take our Seba. Chess look about me, Kachas, Cheni, Mibate that take our Seba in that court, Betty Chagores.
The illustration is apt for desirous attachment, desires to remain in contact with its object, and therefore it becomes difficult to separate the fixated mind from the object of its desirous attachment as fixation.
Oh, yeah, that the Jadilla, your career is not comes with the come, the Vedeja, and a Sugudeja, Sumedeja, some comes with the Jasum Shaburesmus.
Desirous attachments divisions are desirous attachment of the desire realm, desirous attachment of the form realm, desirous attachment of the formless realm.
Oh, yeah, Samsung Kashi Peja Kajana, the Vedeja, the Sibedeja, the Nijani, your response.
Some texts distinguish between desire realm, desirous attachment, and desirous attachment of existence.
Oh, yeah, that the Jag Chele can your resona, Dungeki, but the rest the Jag Kurang Chele, any gets on Dungeki, the response.
The function of desirous attachment is to produce pain. Where desirous attachment arises, its consequence is necessarily pain.
Oh, yeah, that Dungeki, but the Karisana Sibe Dunge Tamji Zawachi response.
And how is it so? Desirous attachment is the very root of pain in cyclic existence.
Oh, yeah, Zawachi, Karsan Sibe Nizam Jo, Sibala Nisam Joredi, and Nizam Jan, and it Jawa Lambati Kanga, Jini, Juizodi, Deja Chabiaris, Chetan Sibe Zawas, the response.
Isn't the Pogyur, Nizam Jorkin.
Oh, Nizam, all my Nizam Jorwa. Or Nizam Javachi, Juizodi, Deja Chadero, or Sibe Zawas, mean that response.
Desirous attachment is described as root of cyclic existence, for it is what ensures transmigration, the transmigration caused by the bondage at the moment of the arising of desirous attachment.
Oh, yeah, that's a new Simzuma beside another. Mageta, it's all appreciated to she gave a young response.
We'll elaborate more on desirous attachment in the context of the root mental afflictions.
Oh, yeah, that was a change to the day, and that's Sim Jung to the death.
Now, this concludes then the section on the way of the Bodhisattva, and we'll pick up again now with a continuation of the mental factors.
Oh, yeah, that's Sim Jung to the viewer. Kundunga, Yunga, Sumba, Chambasha, the Gadores.
Now, in the minds of mental factors, we have covered the five omnipresent mental factors, and now are discussing the 5 objects with a determinate object, and of these 5 objects with 5 mental factors with determinate object, aspiration, resolution are behind us, and now we turn our attention to mindfulness.
Oh yeah, temba share the temba sing the tembe ju karesna. Tembe judita shindu kuba. And then temba rani tember cheba. Mar rang dibe yudizolaya yudinzo yun that Suzuki temba ten karsna mar yu tonga teba. And then regular soba teda. And in Machibas and temba the restaurants.
The function, mindfulness, the cause of mindfulness is great appreciation, and only objects with which one has developed prior familiarity can induce mindfulness. Therefore, objects that one has heard, one has seen, etc., may induce mindfulness.
Oh yeah, the call Kundo, the Jinju Kundo, our Sunju Mother, Justice Walla, Labula, Kazi Labunala, the Dicidor, Zilu Chabale, Tambashin to Kuba Lechums, Jesumbatar, Chambakivish, Jewish Yang, all the Shadi, Talatishe, that the Chambakia, Jewish Shamba, Kawashasna, as she was like Junjunala. Lamatani Drobatan, Cambodia Tembatan, Jiba Kendi Chebata, Tamani the Gubasis, or Chesan, Lama Tembache, Tro, Rang Troda, Camboda, and then Churches Temba, and in Jigbe Kendi Guba Cheba, Tembatella to give a utilist to this Tanaka.
The scriptural support is drawn from Shantideva's compendium of training and verses, which says mindfulness arises from great appreciation. Other causes for mindfulness are found in the way of the Bodhisattva, which lists, owing to accompanying their teacher, following their guru's instructions, and out of fear, those fortunate ones who practice with respect easily generate mindfulness. Mindfulness arises from companionship with the virtuous friend, listening closely to the instructions taught by the learned master, having a sense of shame and fear of being reproached by others, and respecting the holy person's advice.
Oh yeah, Tambo de Lamatani Drobatan, Gavishing the Droba, Sikando, and then Kimbo Dambatan, Jesu Tembas, Nyambas, Nido, and then Moza Shebatan, Shenji, Me Tobe. Chibata Demba, Kiawata Demba Kansaki, Labala Kuber Chebas, or the Shima Shado.
Owing to accompanying their teacher, there's one, following their guru's instruction, another, out of fear, another, those fortunate ones who practice with respect, another, easily generate mindfulness. Here we have these four causes.
Oh yeah, that tembe ngod karesna, chambas ngidi ngod karesna, mara jibe yula mingnes, randobji, yu de mejebar zimbe lejenji la, lejengi simju jila, and chambas la gore.
The definition of mindfulness is a mental factor that, focusing on an object to which there has been previous familiarization, prevents the forgetting of it by its own power.
Oh, my jibe yu that ombonga yu kari yu cheba ganga tembe yu yongo.
Objects with which one would be familiar already are any objects of the five sense faculties.
Oh yeah, better karisena, mara chungdu su jibe pamata, pincheta, and the rang tobola soba, so temba tabu was better.
An example given is mindfulness that recollects one's parents and siblings with whom one has been familiar since earliest childhood.
Oh yeah, the imba the kung the kadu over kundu kundashas. Chemba kanshina jibe over semji jeba meba te sesung.
Scriptural support then from the compendium of knowledge, which says, what is mindfulness? It is a mental factor that prevents the mind from forgetting the familiar thing.
Oh yeah, that temple and kiju sunda temas go your sundas.
Mindfulness has three distinguishing qualities. It must.
Tizwan. Oh, Yuji Cheber, Jibe Mumbuchi Chikche. Nabe Cheber Yudela Mine, Jeba Meba Chebase. Cheleji Cheber, and Sim Yula number Mayon Cheba. Cheba Tangsa, Sim Mibala Judu Temper Cheba.
The mindfulness has three distinguishing qualities. The distinguishing quality of its object, it is a familiar thing. The distinguishing quality of its aspect, not forgetting the object that it is focused on. The distinguishing quality of its function, it prevents the mind from being distracted from the object and serves as the basis for the mind to remain continuously on that object.
Oh, yeah, Tiangari Driba Laza, Temba Mejewe, Yu Cheber, Jenla, Driba Ombush in Karsa, this was list. Yang said, Mara Madriba, Temba Mejewa, Mara Yu the Tong, the Tuba, the Manako Tabakia, your Mares, Chixerwa, and Yu Cheber, Yu Chebala, Driba Ombush, Tangsa. 그냥 말 드리장 다들 로이 유도 마셔나 챔버 민주회 나베 챔버 레 셈지 제바 메바스 어디 말통 유 공부 디사교 공부 저러와 말 셈기 통화도 쳐봐 되면은 챔버 지야이 메 직세 디 사회 공부 들어라 야 단다 삼로나 제 차이나 and could temperature your marriage. Oh, is that go things with the mud? Not a tongue, Yimba, and Tandasam, the Majaba, 10 day about the legible.
Furthermore, since mindfulness does not arise if there is no prior familiarity, the distinguishing quality of the object is called the familiar thing. That is, there must be prior familiarity with an object, any object of the five sense faculties. There must be prior familiarity. Without it, there may be no mindfulness. And since mindfulness does not arise if the familiar thing does not appear as an object to the mind right now, the distinguishing quality of the aspect is called the mind's not forgetting. Therefore, where the object has already been forgotten, there may be no continued mindfulness. The object must appear to the mind right now for there to be mindfulness.
Oh, yeah, that temper cheber chenla, tenne, sim kondu pebble juve chile, chileji cheber meyo cheve legeno.
And since the mind will become increasingly stable in dependence on mindfulness with these qualities, the distinguishing quality of the function is called the function of non-distraction.
Oh, to say that, Diredwa. Tantati Ganzukamata, so Le Kiawala Chen Pesan Sherota, Le Miguelaya, and the temperature Yobas Sung Yoreso.
Now, up to this point, we have been focused on mindfulness as a virtuous mental factor, but there is too mindfulness as non-virtuous mental factor.
Oh, yeah, temperature, Miguel, then the temperature, then a Miguel, and there is other temperature, Miguel, Migba, say, and this one. Temba, some days, Miguel, Migba, Jebe, Legend, Mahibala, Miguel. Miguel, Jingi, Numati, Rando, the temple number change. Send Miguel less Roman in Chebe, Chelechens, Taligod, Nahin Charge.
Texts such as clarifying the meaning of the treasury of knowledge mention that there are non-virtuous instances of mindfulness. They say that non-virtuous mindfulness, by its own power, merely recollects an afflictive object, but does not cause a virtuous object to be forgotten.
Oh, yeah, that shit in Rayu Jeba maybe, Temena Tembas.
Ah,
That shit.
other just yeah.
Rayu Jeba maybe, Tembe, Tembas.
On the other hand, the non-virtuous factor of forgetfulness, by its own power, can either recollect an afflictive object or cause a virtuous object to be forgotten. To explain the etymology of the term, it is called mindfulness because it is mindful in not forgetting its object.
Oh yeah, tembe chileni mikpa le sem shendo meyon cheba inasa.
The function of mindfulness is to prevent movement of the mind away from the object and towards something else.
Oh yeah, not the kung sing to the number 10 of the door to found this fingers.
And the compendium of ascertainment is given for scriptural support to the effect that what function does mindfulness have? It functions to recall the memory of what one has thought, done, and said a long time ago.
Oh yeah, that temple again. And then duration simji. Temple yo duration that simji samba temple. Luigi cheba temple, ngaji mawa temple, sum sondo.
From the point of view of recalling things thought of, actions done, and words spoken long ago, it functions to prevent movement of the mind away from the object. When mindfulness is categorized, there are three divisions: being mindful of the mind's thoughts, of the body's deeds, and the voice's utterances.
Oh yeah, that temple debu. Minam mijeba temple tene. The
effects of mindfulness are, in reliance on mindfulness that does not forget the object, there is an ever greater increase within one's own continuum of all the qualities of concentration single-pointedly placed on its object and of wisdom engaged in fine investigation.
Oh yeah, but that is any.
Now we'll conclude here for now. I'm actually a bit sick to my stomach and I must use the restroom. So allow me 5 minutes or so and I'll be back. So instead of Shire today, I'm going to.
Last time you said something about being mindful, thought, deed, and something.
And spoken utterance, I think. Yeah, spoken utterance. Yeah, the voice's utterances. The voice's utterances. Voices, expressions, spoken expression.
I don't know if it's appropriate, but just one other, it's just a questions on the source of the Shantideva thing that you were mentioning at the beginning. Where it
Yeah.
was the list of like listening, shame, fear, companionship with virtuous friends. What is the what is the source of that? Well, that was the Bodhisattva.
Owing to accompanying their teacher, following their guru's instruction, and out of fear, those fortunate ones who practice with respect easily generate mindfulness. That one. That's from the way of the Bodhisattva.
It is.
Yeah.
Did he say the verse?
He didn't number the verse. I don't remember which it is either. It's probably in the mindfulness chapter.
I thought so, but I just didn't do it. Yeah, Charlotte, can you repeat like a keyword or two because she has a visual.
Sure. Owing to accompanying their teacher, following their guru's instructions, and out of fear, those fortunate ones who practice with respect easily generate mindfulness. Solo tanga.
I think Krishna is not doing well. Maybe we should end on.
Dela Chanshaga, Isi and this Yushi Ten Dead Doda, and the son of Rigua. If you have a question, we can take a question, and if there are no questions, then we can close with prayers.
I just didn't catch the second quality of mindfulness aspect.
Jembegi Karisa, Jembegi Chilisum Yaman, number Mendrasum, Dranswan, Nipa de Garre, the distinguishing quality of its function, the distinguishing quality of its aspect, not forgetting the object that it is focused on. Bring any questions that you might have again next week, and we can address those questions, and we'll continue with more with mindfulness. A bit remains to be explained yet, and then so bring those any questions you have again next week.
Hello, I have a question.
So my stomach's a bit upset that lunch didn't sit well with me, and so then if we wrap up a bit early, then that would be helpful. We'll close with the prayers then. from my two collections, vast and space that I have amassed, from working with effort in this practice for a great length of time. May I become the peace leading Buddha for all those whose minds, wisdom, eyes blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my life. May I find the best of the paths of the complete teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practice. Using skillful means drawn by the strong person compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings. With the points of the path, life discernment, may I hold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, may I offer this treasure of happiness with all sentient beings. May the blind minds of those who wish for liberation be granted definite and the Buddha's seeds be nourished for a long time. By following the complete graduate of wisdom and the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings that eliminate adversity and make things easier so correct the actual path, never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praising of the Buddha. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold mile and virtuous practice, may he always be assisted by the mighty one. May oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.
Gagi
Jinye Slave Gyawanandi Tindan Roa Gyawana Jekam Bhavam Ebe Yambo Station Vare Gawe Borwe Chinkandi Pindan Dewa Madu Jumwe Chere Sewan Tenzing Gasoye Shave Site Baradu Tengirichi Zamba Hawaii Jila Gimbala Kundu Zambo Deyan Dejende Deda Gugi Shiksuan Dalubish Gewan Deda Tanje Radu Kusum Shive Gewan Tanjegi Moa Ganga Sudu Mabanda Dai Gewe Sawan Tikanga Zambo Shishi Radu Moa Janjo Zenjo Rinpoche, Magi Bana Gigiriji, Yapa Yapa Memory, Bonde. I dedicate whatever virtues I've ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings, the Venerable Lozan Drapa to shine forever. In the land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful and resident in God's soul, please remain until cyclic existence is ended. Just as the brave Manju Shri and Samantabhadra do, realizing that they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with a dedication for Jesus the best, by the victorious thus gone 1, 2, and 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva deed. May the supreme jewel of Bodhisattva that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. Thank you.
May we dedicate whatever virtues that we have accumulated from listening to the Buddha Dharma teaching given by Geshe-la to Geshe-la. We would like to dedicate all of these to Geshe-la, and we pray that he will be well soon. Please take your time and rest.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Tadi ani gewa ani sabadi ani bolo gisi la yar push ayo ani gisi ani nasa gyobo on travel ani mendunyo.
That is teaching Maranatha Halates, the Tanzimanti with Chong
No big deal. Just what I ate isn't sitting well with me.